Hello there. Scotland may be teetering on the edge of independence, but not if they have to give up the pound and adopt the euro. Ah well, that's the Scots Nats' dreams well and truly shattered then. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And when subscribing, please press the little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications. It doesn't look like too many in Scotland actually share Nicola Sturgeon's dream of an independent Scotland inside the European Union, as it appears that replacing the pound with the euro is not top of the pops in Scotland, and that potentially gives Nicola Sturgeon one giant headache. A survey by Redfield and Wilton Strategies for the Telegraph showed that 39% of respondents would be less likely to vote for independence if Scotland had to ditch the pound in favour of the euro. But I will point out that the Telegraph doesn't say how many would be more likely to vote for independence if Scotland ditched the pound for the euro. But if those 39% are from the more pro-independence wing, then it is very significant. Although I must say that if Scotland did gain independence, the UK government has already made it clear to Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP that if they did continue to use sterling, they would not have any input into monetary policy. They would be using the pound as a third country, something that would make borrowing for investment almost impossible. It would also prevent a Scottish government from embarking on any form of economic stimulus to stave off the effects of an emergency, like the pandemic, i.e., they wouldn't be able to use quantitative easing, for example. And when the Bank of England raises or lowers interest rates to benefit the UK, Scotland would just have to ride out any adverse impact it had on its economy, and that could be ruinous for them. They'd be better off with their own currency, the Alba Pund maybe, if they could get it off the ground and have it accepted rather sharpish as Grade A creditworthy. But if the Scots are hankering to keep the pound sterling and be part of a viable economy, then remaining as a part of the UK would be their only option. Now, some may claim that Scotland doesn't have to join the euro if it joins the EU, or not at least for many, many years. But that would mean them joining the EU either using sterling, which is not their own currency, or using its own untried currency. In those circumstances, the EU 27 member states will almost certainly want to hang back for years or even decades to see how Scotland fares prior to letting them in. And that would put the kibosh on Nicola Sturgeon's plans to join the EU relatively quickly. And also put the brakes on her plans to quickly hold an IndyRef too, because without nailing down that currency issue, she's a bit stuck. And as time goes on, that 39% might well grow. And no amount of screeching from the sidelines by Alex Salmond's Alba Party will change that. This could well keep the Scots Nats campaign on the back foot and even in a declining position for many years. And the Telegraph does say that senior Eurocrats have made it clear that Scotland would need to join the euro, and quotes one as saying, "If you join the club, you have to wear the tie. You cannot wear your own tie." Sounds like Brussels will take no nonsense from the SNP. The Telegraph survey also showed that support for the Union is at 47%, and for independence it's 44%. And once the don't knows are stripped out, that equates in a referendum to 51.65% to remain in the UK and 48.35% to leave it. A sounding that will not put confidence either in Holyrood or in Westminster that either side could definitively win the day. This is also not an indicator of the settled will for a referendum that Michael Gove was talking about recently. So I would expect the SNP to hold back, even though they are still trying to finalise an alliance with the Scottish Greens to form a large, single pro-independence bloc in Holyrood, something we were told several days ago would be finalised possibly by yesterday. So maybe in the end we'll be waiting for many more years before we see any really determined push for a referendum. Now, before I continue, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug with my mug on it, link in the descriptions box below. You really do help me keep this channel going. Now, there is another angle to Scottish independence, and that is the Shetland Islands. Now, the Shetland Islands voted heavily to remain in the UK in the 2014 Scottish independence referendum. But that's not my point, as many other areas in Scotland did likewise. No, the angle I'm talking about is local government. The Express is running a story today about the push by Shetland councillors last year to get more control over the island's governance from the Scottish Government. Councillor Malcolm Bell spoke with Express.co.uk and explained many local leaders in the Shetland Islands were getting fed up with the centralisation of powers in Holyrood, which has been slowly occurring over the past few decades, said the report. So Nicola likes more power, does she? And the article went on to say, Mr Bell added it could be likely to see more powers become centralised if Scottish independence was granted. So he fears that local councils will find themselves more and more powerless after Scottish independence. Councillor Bell also said, Scotland currently has the power to allow councils, like Shetland, more autonomy. It makes no real difference on whether they are independent or not. They have the power and they ought to be using that power to push decision-making out from the centre. And he went on to say that the Scottish Government was not doing this. It was looking for more centralisation. So let's think about this. Nicola Sturgeon and her SNP are always bleating about not having enough devolved power from Westminster to sort out Scotland's problems. But at the same time, if Councillor Bell is correct, the Scottish Government is eroding local government powers in Scotland, or at least not expanding on them. It would therefore seem to me that the Scottish nationalists know full well that the way to break up a nation is to give its local politicians more powers. Because that's what they want from the UK, more and more powers. But they are not chancing the same thing from within Scotland, where they are stripping away power at a lower level. Every time Ian Blackford, the SNP leader in Westminster, stands up in the Commons, he's moaning about Westminster keeping all the power. It's a recurring theme, especially after Brexit when powers were returned to Westminster from Brussels. All we heard from the likes of Blackford was claims that these powers should go straight to Holyrood, which was patently so much horse manure. So the SNP wants all the power, and that should send a shiver up the spines of Scottish voters. Because when it comes to Scottish internal politics, Sturgeon's party seems determined to keep the lid on the powers that its local politicians wield and could prevent councillors improving life for their constituents. So the SNP obviously does understand the slippery slope of devolution and seems intent on not letting anyone within Scotland get ideas and be in a position to copy their independence playbook and use it against them. I hope Boris is taking heed. So what's your opinion on Scottish independence and the pound? Please like and comment below.